I'm Professor Tommy Mackey. I'm a professor of outdoor education and a place-based educator. When I got the job offer, there were a couple of other offers that I was considering. And I'll tell you what, one of the big things that sold me was one of my professors that I work with in my grad program, Dr. Robin Kimmerer, who had an association with Northland, knows Northland, and what I came to find out really loves Northland. And so I asked for a meeting with her. We sat down, and she just gave such a raving review. So that was kind of the first thing that put Northland on my radar. Was this really important, indigenous science and just science and epistemology voice, saying, if I'll paraphrase, but I might be able to ask Robin if these would still be her words. But to paraphrase, she said if I wasn't working at SUNY ESF, where she is, she'd be at Northland. Northland just so deeply embraces like that value of interdisciplinary, of like all these things, every aspect of educational content is part of being a citizen in the world, right? And there just wasn't anything that was so perfectly human and so perfectly me that I was looking at.
Why do you think Northland is important to the Chequamegon Bay area?
Yeah, I think we have such a long history here, and we have in the past we have very clearly been an asset to this region, but it does really feel like we are on the verge, we are on the cusp of being a huge asset to this area, right? When I think of things like the Center for Rural Communities, I think of the number of classes, right? The number of young committed faculty that have shown up at Northland in the last 5 years. How many of them are doing projects in the area? I think of our DNR contracts through the Burke Center to help keep our beaches safe, as well as kind of our North Pikes Creek projects, or North Fish Creek, my apologies, projects where we're helping to stabilize shorelines in the area. In addition to this, just like being one of these few consistent voices in Indigenous allyship for our tribal neighbors. I think we just, this is such a critically important region for a lot of different reasons, climate-wise. There's a lot of there's a lot of people here who are here to stay, right? When industry abandons the area, when economies flux and change, there's people who are here, and I think Northland is also here, right? Yeah. So the aspects of Northland that I would that I'm fighting for, that we're all fighting for to keep and hold on to and hold dear, are number one, our commitment to students, right? Y'all are why we're here. Am I allowed to acknowledge that you're a student?
Yeah.
Our commitment to students, that's why we're here, right? That's our purpose. That's where our hearts are at. And number two, our commitment to the region, right? Being an institution of higher learning, right? Where we're supposed to be one of those sites, right? One of the sites that contributes to the area. We house a lot of services. On top of that, I think we are the voice. We are constantly a voice of innovation in the area, right? Like you look at a town like Ashland, where in one direction you've got folks who are trying to bring manufacturing and industry back, which is a hard battle to fight. You got other folks pushing us into ecotourism, right? And there's just not enough voices saying, well, what about the third, the fourth options, right? What are the things that we can put in place that really allow this to be a sustainable place to live, right? And continue to be a sustainable place to live. So those are some of the values I hope that we're fighting for. There's more than one class that I consider my my intellectual children. I would say some of my favorites, honestly, I love my outdoor education 265, our teaching and facilitation class. That's the first time that I get a lot of Northland students interested in education or interested in outdoor education. It's the first time we really get to begin our journey as educators, right? To really cultivate that educational persona, right? Like, what is my teaching style? What are the techniques that I prefer? What is my role within the field of education? Those are our questions. I just love working with students, and it's a very hands-on class. It's all about practicing and trying and giving feedback. And I will also say I love my May term child is urban outdoor education. Taught that really only have had a chance to teach it in its full form because of COVID and its full iteration this past May. And we went to we kind of picked our way across the Midwest, looking at a couple of different cities. We did a week in Syracuse, New York, which is a city that's really near and dear to my heart. A city that's just a wonderful example of community in the face of a world that's trying to disenfranchise, right, some of these really tight knit post-industrial cities. So that class I just find is just such a good. An important way to talk about community through outdoor education, in a way that, I don't know, just really touches me. The students in that class last semester really were there for it, and it meant a lot.
That was great undergrad experience, I'd say.